One thing that I also like to say is scale matters, right? So when you're talking about a cloud platform, what's one of the things that matter? Well, scales matters, right? So what I mean by this is, well, let me take a step back. One of the things that Amazon doesn't do, however, is break out the numbers, like how big is AWS from a revenue standpoint, employee standpoint, et cetera. So we've worked to look to see how can we put into perspective the range, the scale, and how big Amazon Web Services is today. Some of you may have seen these stats before, but for those of you who haven't, let's step back to 2003. So in 2003, Amazon.com was a $5.2 billion retail business, right? Now it's an e-commerce retail business, which means that all that $5.2 billion were transacted through computers and computer systems. Amazon.com had 7,800 employees at that time, right? It's a whole lot of servers. Think about the server or the compute infrastructure, servers, disks, networking equipment, racks, cooling systems, power supplies, all those things that are required to support a $5.2 billion e-commerce business. Well, in 2013, we looked at the investments we're making in growing out our footprint for Amazon Web Services. One of the benefits that AWS provides to our customers and our partners is the fact that our customers and partners no longer have to lay out the capital to actually build out computing infrastructure. Somebody has to, though, so that's us. Right? So we looked in 2013 how much we were actually investing and deploying around the world. And as it turns out, in 2013, AWS launches the equivalent footprint of Amazon.com in 2003. The equivalent footprint gets deployed and brought up in production every single day of the year. Right, so to give you a sense of scale matters. And why does it matter when you're actually working with a cloud provider? Right, because you need a cloud provider who is going to be there to make sure that you have the computing capacity you need when you need it. It has a geographic distribution that you're going to need as you look to expand your business. And most importantly, scale brings on operational excellence. Right? There is no algorithm for experience. Right? Having this level of experience, we learn new things. We learn and we operate at a scale that very few people do. So one of the things that we're proud of is our placement in the Gartner Magic Quadrant this year. So when Gartner looked at AWS, there are several things, and one of the things I'm very proud at that helped AWS achieve where we landed this year was the strength of our partner ecosystem, our technology partner ecosystem for that matter. Right? Partners like Appian, for example, really contributed to our placement. In the sense that AWS, we are an infrastructure provider. We don't provide solutions. We need partners like Appian who are providing solutions on top of our platform. So that's one of the things that help contribute. The other thing was, again, scale. Talk about the issue of scale. What Gartner did is they looked at all of the virtual systems, virtual machines under management across all of the providers in the Gartner Magic Quadrant. Right? So there's 14 providers in the Gartner Magic Quadrant. When they did that, what they observed is that AWS has 5 times greater the number of virtual instances under management than all 14 combined. Right? So again, scale matters, and think about that when you're looking for a global cloud platform, a global cloud strategy. Just to talk a bit about security, right? So security always is one thing that people are concerned about when they're thinking about public cloud, right? So outside of operational excellence, expanding scale, making sure that we're providing the greatest value to our customers, security is really near the top of the list. Right? At the end of the day, nobody's going to use your environment unless it's secure. So several things to point out here. One is we collaborate very closely with a bunch of the leaders in the technology industry who specialize in security solutions. We also work very closely with a number of customers who have very, very high security expectations and demands. Right? What we then do is we innovate on top of all that. We take all the input from these providers, these partners and customers, and we continuously enhance our security posture. Right? So as a result of that, out of the tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars we're investing in our security profile, our customers simply inherit that. Right? That's 10 to hundreds of millions of dollars that our customers and our partners don't have to invest in improving the security of their solutions on our platform, because we do that. And we do that because we have to do that on a global scale, which allows us to actually continue to work towards certifications and accreditations like ISO, FISMA, FedRAMP, ITAR, et cetera, and things like that. So security is something that we take very, 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 very seriously. And it used to be a major issue for customers to consider whether or not a cloud platform is secure, but these days it's more about the ability for them to actually move data, access data, scale applications. Security doesn't come up nearly as often. But our customers Our partners like Appian can benefit from our investments we're making in the security, and their customers can actually benefit from it as well because they inherit the security posture that we put forward. The one thing about AWS, so we have a very large and growing partner network as well. So we work with a number of the global and regional and national systems integrators as part of our consulting partners. From technology partners, we work with Appian and then all other types of technology providers, from everybody from operating system providers, database, middleware, security, management, monitoring, provisioning, verticalized solutions, development tools, testing tools, etc. Because again, when you think of AWS, one way to think of us, again, is metaphorically think of us kind of next generation hardware platform, right? It just happens to be instantly available, infinitely scalable, secure, reliable, and paid for on a utility basis. But in the history of computing, nobody's ever bought hardware for the sake of hardware, right? It's our ecosystem of partners that allow customers to solve the business problems that they have by leveraging the hardware platform that we make available around the world. And then for customers, we have hundreds of thousands of customers in over 190 countries, right? So these are customers who simply sign up from a self-service standpoint to very large enterprises that are actually looking to do transformational data center strategies. As their data centers are now coming up for end of life or looking to be refreshed and renewed, AWS now is actually, or I won't say AWS, cloud now is actually something that is being written into RFPs for any type of data center design, data center strategy that's out there. So we're going to continue to invest in bringing more customers on around the world in both public sector and private. And finally, with our good friends Appian. Like I mentioned, AWS, one way to think of us as kind of a next generation hardware platform. Very big one, very distributed one, however. Right? But it's our partnership with Appian that really allows customers, brand name customers such as these, to actually start to solve their business problems in new and inventive and innovative ways. By leveraging the investments and the innovation that Appian puts into their application stack, they're able to actually solve their business problems much faster, with much less complexity, and with reduced cost. So following me, you'll hear from our friends over at DFW to see how they're leveraging Appian Cloud, as well as our friends from Punch Networks. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your attention, and hopefully we'll see you at the reception tonight.
Thanks, Brian. All right, perfect setup for our next two presentations.